Oh no. चलो जी चलो जी। Cheaper.
history. You said it,
Yeah.
of corruption and cultures of corruption at the highest levels in many countries throughout the world, and it shouldn't be expected that be an instant accepted solution to it.
But, I mean, even if you were to get some backing for this idea, it's not really going to get off the ground if you don't have the support of the big powers, the United States, China, really, aren't you?
Actually, that's not right, respectfully. That's a common criticism. However, it's axiomatic that kleptocrats don't want to keep their ill-gotten fortunes in their home countries. The International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, for example, provided overwhelming evidence that Vladimir Putin has laundered hundreds of millions, if not more, into and through Switzerland and elsewhere around the world, but particularly Switzerland. If Switzerland joined this court and Russia did not, because Putin has committed part of the crime of money laundering in Switzerland, he could be prosecuted in Switzerland. If the Swiss looking at what happened in Ukraine and decide we don't want to prosecute Vladimir Putin ourselves, they would defer to the International Anti-Corruption Court.
All right, but my point about not having the big players, US, China, Russia, and so on, may cause you problems because you know through your own experience how difficult it is to go after people accused of financial misconduct and bribery and so on. You need access to financial and telephone records. You need to perhaps authorize wiretaps, conduct searches. Very complex cases to try and find the trail of this illicit funds. And if you don't get the cooperation of the big financial powers in the world, it's going to be difficult.
Well, I'd say the following. First, although it has been said, oh, how are you going to get the evidence?
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidence that's available. There's just no place to use it. In the United States, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act prosecutions and their OECD counterparts, you can only prosecute the individuals and organizations who pay bribes, not the people who take them. There are investigative journalists who produce evidence. There's the International Anti-Corruption Coordinating Committee here in London that facilitates money laundering investigations. There are whistleblowers. There's been a lot of evolution.
You could build up a case.
Well, and in fact, the United States, well, I don't expect is going to support this in the short run. One, they do facilitate money laundering investigations. They help Bill Browder prove that particular Russians stole $231 million from him. So there's cooperation. And I'll tell you something else.
Yeah.
In terms of making this a reality, there's a certain positive benefits to not having the support of the United States, because many African countries particularly, but others in the global South, resent the big shots in the global North making the rules and expecting them to follow them. But this is an effort that really has substantial support from these countries, Malaysia and Africa, Latin America.
So a very different model then from the ICC, the International Criminal Court based in The Hague, which pursues those accused of crimes against humanity or war crimes and human rights abuses. Because, so I'll tell you what Professor Matthew Stevenson of Harvard University says in relation to your idea of an international anti-corruption court. He says the ICC, the International Criminal Court, suggests the limits rather than the promise of an international anti-corruption court, because it does it with a radical reconceptualization of the ICC model, one that states have never shown a willingness to embrace.
I introduced Mr. Stevenson to some of his work in corruption, but he's never investigated, prosecuted.